I want to call this meeting to order. It is 6:01 p.m. on April 12, 2018. Yeah, We're starting up the meeting, and I just would like the roll call first, please.
Casey McClellan.
Here.
Benji McCoy. Here. Kate Phelps. Here. Dee Prock.
Here.
Deanna Wilson.
Here. Could we please stand for the pledge? There's a flag right in the center here. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes to the agenda that anyone would like to make before we approve it?
I'd like to move the resignation of the AD out of the consent agenda and into the discussion among board members. Actually, I think it's worthy of the discussion.
Do I have a second? Okay. Can I have a vote for that, please?
Casey McClellan.
Aye.
Benji McCoy. Aye. Kate Phelps. Aye. Dee Prock.
Aye.
Deanna Wilson.
Okay. See, one more thing. Do we want to take discussion among the board members, action items, just because the public will be involved with some of this, and not like we have in the past, following the SRO report? That's what we've done for the last 3 months now.
You want to do what now?
Move the discussion among board members and the action items up following the SRO report, following item 7.
Do we have anyone from student government tonight? Because if we do, I think we should do that so they can keep it. If we don't.
Please speak up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Every board member should have a microphone and be able to hear.
Is there anybody here from student government to give a report tonight? Okay, then let's move it following the student government report.
We're moving the discussion among board members up after the student government report.
I need a second on that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion. Can I have a vote, please?
Casey McClellan.
Aye.
Benji McCoy.
Aye.
Kate Phelps.
Aye.
Dee Prock.
Aye.
Deanna Wilson.
Aye.
I'm going to share my one microphone with whoever's presenting today, so please feel free to use this. And then, oh, sorry, we need to do, we need a motion to approve the agenda. Vote. Discussion vote.
It should be a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
As amended.
I second.
Okay, second that.
Okay. Casey McClellan.
Aye.
Benji McCoy. Kay Phelps. Steve Brock.
Aye.
Deanna Trulson.
Okay, celebrations and presentations. We have school successes given by teachers and students and whoever else is involved in your group. Thank you for being here.
Hi, I'm Melody McNeil. I teach second grade at Dolores Elementary, and I'm going to talk to you guys tonight about student successes and how we've seen those student successes through project-based learning. So what is project-based learning? The first thing that you need to know about project-based learning is you have to have those skills that we've always taught in elementary school. Without those skills, kids are not able some of the fun things that they learned about, and this is their doll that they made that's a model of Inuit clothing. Right, I'll hold it.
Hi, my name is Aubrey Klein. I am in second grade and we just studied the Inuit tribe. And my group worked on learning about the clothes. This is caribou skin. So this part right here is the caribou skin. And then these are the boots with polar bear fur. These glasses kept from snow blindness. So these glasses helped them from getting snow in their eyes. That way they wouldn't be blind. My job was to study their jewelry. They would find rocks or shells and teeth and drill holes in them to decorate their clothes or make necklaces.
And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to third grade now, and you can kind of see how this continues on through our second through third curriculum.
Hi, my name's Angie Lau, and I teach third in Dolores, and we just finished up an earth science unit, and our project was an independent research project. And so we were looking at the inquiry question that the kids were asking were, what forces, using the internet sources, videos, books, and within their research they had to talk about the causes and effects of that constructive and destructive force. They had to connect it to a real-world example. Some kids studied Mount Vesuvius, some students studied Mount St. Helens when it erupted. They also had to use technology. We worked with Mr. Vega, and that's also how we get the cross-curricular connection there. So he taught all the kids how to do a slide presentation, insert videos, make it really dynamic. And then he also had a creativity piece where the kids had to actually create their model. So they had to demonstrate to the class, you know, how an earthquake worked. And it went anywhere from Jell-O to graham crackers to show the movement of tectonic plates. And then they had to present it to their peers, to parents, to other teachers, and then followed it up with a Q&A. So it was a really amazing project. And this is Judah Martin, and he's going to explain his project.
Last month I started different Earth sources. I chose to study earthquakes. Earthquakes can occur up to 30,000 earthquakes a year, but most of them are too weak, but about 1,000 of them are too weak to detect. Part of my demonstration was to show how tectonic plates move. So I made a Jell-O model. I had to slide the Jell-O past each other. It tried to stick, and then when it finally released, it shook, just like tectonic plates would. And that's what causes an earthquake.
Thank you, Judah. And now we have our fourth grade teacher and Ms. Grasta and some of her students who are going to explain their latest project.
Okay, our project, I'm Sherry Grasta, I teach fourth grade at Dolores Elementary, and our project came out of a question we asked at the beginning of the year: what helps us do our best reading and learning? And we made a discovery which led to a month-long project. So this fourth grade project is an example of student voice, of children working together to advocate for themselves so that they can do their best learning. And I have Hannah Condon, Olivia Jimenez, and Kristen Wilden to help us.
The old chairs were very uncomfortable. It made it hard to focus, they made us slouch, and they also creaked. So we decided to do something about this, and this is just what we did. So we researched better chairs, the cost, and 96% of fourth graders were uncomfortable. We worked together to write a letter to Dr. Cooper and Mr. Liebert. Finally the chairs came. The lessons that we learned were that the chairs made our learning and focusing and posture better. Lessons that we learned for life is that you have to work for something to get it. We were very patient, but now we are very grateful.
And to express our gratitude, we have letters of thank you to present. Very good.
My name is Liliana Argento. I'm a Spanish teacher for the secondary, and I'm going to talk briefly about, I was thinking about what could I present. So I picked one of the achievements. My level 2 went from single words to writing a whole page essay. So the next slide is going to, I'm not going to read the whole essay, but what he goes through is every period and every class in detail, describing the class, what they do in that class, who teaches it. So this is after 1 year of taking Spanish. So that's one of the projects we did this year. And the other one, we also involved, I tried to bring in culture as much as I can. So this is from my level 1. We did a cultural festival, and it involves also history. You can see here, historia, comida, which means food. So a lot of it is in Spanish, and at that level I also asked them to write it in English so they know exactly what they're saying. So thank you. That's on the academic side. And I also wanted to take this opportunity, I wrote a few words to say that being a good teacher is a collaborative process, among teachers, students, amazing parents, our board, admin. So I just want to express my gratitude to everybody for your support in this collaborative process. So thank you. And I'm going to turn it to my student, Bride.
Buenas noches. My name is Bryce Ugla, and I am a senior at Dolores High School. I've gone to Dolores since kindergarten, and I'm here to talk about a few of the great things that have happened in my high school career. One of the most difficult things that happened to me was I went from Spanish 1 to Spanish 3. I took Spanish 1 my sophomore year, and I didn't do amazing in my class, and I definitely butted heads with Senora Edgeba. But I made it through. Due to logistical issues with my senior schedule, I was put into Spanish 3. Skipping Spanish 2 really set me up for an academic challenge. I didn't know a lot of the vocab that is needed for Spanish 3, and I felt very behind and was absolutely terrified. Senora helped me a lot and was fine with the fact that I knew little to nothing. She helped push me farther and told me every day that I had potential and that I was getting better after each 50-minute period. I am now on the brink of being even better with the rest of my class. I am so thankful for her help. Senora is one of the most amazing teachers. She loves all of her students and wants everyone to excel. She has taught me many things, and I have learned more this year than in the past. In conclusion, I think we all need to look at the bigger picture. What really matters and what really makes Dolores great are the teachers that are willing to walk into the doors, no matter what turmoil is going on, and give everything they have to the students. I could have been left behind, if not for the teachers that really care. Gracias.
Thank you.
So Ms. Kuntz and I collaborated in this activity. Jessica, are you here? No? Okay. So she was teaching 9th grade this book by, you're going to have to help me with the pronunciation, Elie Wiesel, I don't know. And we happened to speak briefly in the hallway about this, and I said, back home in Venezuela, my mom's best friend is a 90-year-old Holocaust survivor. If you want, I could try to see if we can facilitate something. So we did. My mom, who's really good friends with Georgette, it was a lady who was from France, and she hid for 5 years during the Holocaust. So she spoke to the 9th grade through my mom's Skype. So I think that was pretty impactful. And I think it brought the book to life for the students. And that's all I'm going to say, because this is Ms. Kuntz's slide.
Hi, I'm Tara Olson, and I am a high school social science teacher. This is one of the 5 classes that I teach, and it is civics. Currently right now, I have a mix of 10th grade, seniors, even freshmen. And we are working on a civic action project. And I put this up here because, as you can see, Dolores Secondary School's banner is what I say we're up on the board. And this is a national website, and this is a place where over 200 schools across our nation participate in a civic action project. You want to go to my next slide? Cool. So HS Civics class is part of this nationwide civic action project that over 200 schools, again, are across the nation participate in for recognition, prizes, and support. Students will even have a chance to publish their project. Students select an issue or problem that matters to them, connect it to public policy, then take civic action to try to impact their selected issue. So there might be more to come, because these students are being encouraged to focus on their community, focus on their school. What are some concerns they might have. How do they want to address policy, and how do they do that? How do they look at policy? How do they analyze policy? And how do they go through the right process in order to make that happen? So that is my civics. This is the second class that I teach. This is AP Psychology. We brought AP to the school several years ago. AP is Advanced Placement. And schools all over the country and all over the world do AP. So AP Psychology, these are my students. They're pretty cool. We went to the preschool. And we participated in what we call Piaget task. And Piaget is a cognitive developmental psychologist and something they've been learning about. So they were able to go and perform these tasks in the preschool. Thank you very much, by the way. I would just like to say this was quite an opportunity for these kids to apply their knowledge. They took the knowledge and they were able to implement it. These are some kids you need to watch because they're our future.
So I wanted to show you guys, we wanted to show you, all these amazing projects are really showing up in the data, the things that the kids are getting tested on. This shows the past couple years. I don't want to overload you with data, but I do want you to pay attention to a couple points on this slide. This is all reading. I'm going to show you K through, or first grade through 11. This is NWEA. It's a national test. 50 states use it. We test 3 times a year, and it shows student growth. And so this shows 2 years, and Dolores is the blue line, and the national norm is the red line. So in 2015, you can see first grade was a little bit below that average in the national norm. And then in 2017, with that move, I believe, towards more project-based learning, hitting those 21st century skills that we have to be teaching to prepare our kids, we're above the national average. This is second grade. Same thing. Please pay attention to the blue line, to the blue dot. Again, below the national average in 2015, 2017, above. Third grade, we're a little bit above, coming in at the beginning of the school year as well. Fourth grade, same thing. The trend continues, actually, K-6. And I didn't want to leave out our secondary also. So the next slide actually shows, it looks a little different, but what this shows over time is actually 2012 all the way to 2018. So if you look at the 11th grade, which is the blue line, you can see that trajectory of growth. And that's the trend. That's where we're headed. If we continue on this path towards project-based learning, which our school board, our superintendent, our administrators, our principals support, we're going to be way above the national average. This is where education is headed. You know, it's changed a lot in the last 5 to 10 years. It's much more rigorous. It's much more demanding. And to meet the skills, we have to keep doing what we're doing. And here's our seniors. This is the Dolores graduation rate, 92.7%. The state average is 78.9%. The national average, 83%. 49.3% of our graduates go on to some type of post-secondary education, whether it's a 2-year college, 4-year college, or trade school. And then just more student successes beyond Dolores. This year we have a 2018 Betcher Scholarship recipient. That's a huge accomplishment. 4 years paid college, tuition free in the state. A lot of work to get there. Our 7th grade DI team. Our 7th grade DI team is going to globals in Tennessee. A huge accomplishment. I mean, that's a worldwide international competition. 3 students ranked top 5 in state. Last fall in 2017, we had 84 college AP and honor course completions. In the spring of 2018, we have 75 college AP honor course enrollments. More successes. 41 students went to National History Day state competition based on project-based learning. This is Mr. Nielsen's class. FFA, 2 district officers at state level. Again, FFA, 2 students making it to state competition in speaking, and that is Jasper Breitenbach and Tel Hamilton. Dalton Hindmarsh committed to becoming a state FFA officer, first time for a Dolores student, and that's a huge commitment. Let's hear it for them.
Okay, real quickly, you guys move on. We also sent 2 6th graders to state science fair just a couple weeks ago, so they were up there.
Thank you.
Congratulations. There were many, many more successes, but we had a time limit here tonight. We intend to be at as many board meetings as possible, continuing to present all the fantastic things that are happening here. So I'm going to ask you to just keep an eye on the screen. We're going to keep flashing pictures of kids learning and showing all of their growth here in Dolores. I'd like to say in closing that we Dolores teachers are proud of our career choices, and we feel pride in our school and in our community. We know that collaboration is the key to students' successes as well as the success of our school community. As we teach our 21st century skills, our jobs require us to show students how to apply these skills through our thoughts, words, and our actions. Collaboration and teamwork, creativity and imagination, critical thinking, problem solving. Our approach to education prepares our kids for tomorrow's world, most definitely a world offering jobs that we don't even know exist yet. Today's employers value these skills that our students practice with project-based learning, thanks to our administrative staff and our school board. Without their approval and support, we would not be exposing students to these many wonderful experiences of learning. I'll end with this quote from Matty Stefanski. He describes himself as a poet, a peacemaker, and a philosopher who played. He was 13 years old when he passed away. Very amazing young man. Unity and strength. When there's teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can happen. Dolores schools are succeeding. Thank you.
The board would also like to express our gratitude for these wonderful, dedicated teachers and their students. Thank you all. Project-based learning and problem-based learning both have received a lot of attention of late, and they're high on the list of best practices. And those are the reasons why 21st century learning, all the C words, the critical thinking, collaboration, communication, creativity, all of that, but also because it makes schools more real. And we know that student engagement is that kids need to know why they're learning, what they're learning, put it to use quickly, and that's what it's all about. So your kids are doing that. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to citizens to address the board. And Deanna Sullivan is first. Deanna, are you around? We can always add her on if she comes in the process. So we'll go on to Brian Lyons.
Thank you. I'm Brian Lyons. I'm from students from Dolores. I appreciate the board listening. We got to say, I got more questions than I do comments more than anything. But the first question I got is in the newspaper. It had a deal. I brought up the last actual reporting, a safety issue on background checks, and then in the newspaper it said there was a positive hit on a background check. Could you tell me what that's all about? I mean, I don't want any personal names or anything, but what is that about? Because I was sure last time that wasn't going to be the case, and we were not going to, that wasn't even an issue. And now all of a sudden the newspaper said there was a positive hit on the background check. Anybody know what that's about?
I didn't read that in the paper myself yet, but I don't.
Does anybody here know anything about that?
A positive hit on a background check.
Right, no? It's a mystery?
Come on. There has been some of the background checks that have come back with questionable results that have been.
Okay, I guess it would be a question of what positive is referring to, and then if we could clarify.
Right.
Okay. I would have to look into what positive is referring to, and I'm sorry that I don't have that answer right now.
No problem. No, I just wanted to clarify. If there is an issue, I want to know how we had a problem and how it's not going to happen again. Because that's a huge concern to me. That's why I said it last time, and then all this stuff's going to. But a lot of the stuff that just like now they're saying the board doesn't know that, and I'm a little concerned about that too. Do you guys return emails? I mean, because I've sent letters to the school board and stuff like that, and I know Casey. I'll give you guys a pass. You haven't been here that long.
I have been returned.
You have been? Is 9 months, is that an appropriate time for you? I sent you guys an email about your athletic director 9 months ago. I still have a copy of it asking you to get in contact with me so we could discuss it. Even email me. I didn't care if it was in person or email. I have no other way to get hold of you guys. You know what I mean? There is no other way, and to not even respond back is a big concern to me.
And that's fair enough, and as being new to the chair position,
right.
I have returned each email I've received in this position, but that has only been in the last 3 months.
Well, then even in that position in the last 3 months, I sent you guys an email in reference to both of you two in the steel building. I had some information for you. Did you not get that email? I had some information just that it would help you with that stuff. You never got that email either?
Well, I'm not saying I didn't get it.
Oh, you're not saying you didn't get it. You didn't respond to it?
No, I don't know of an email from steel building that I...
Not steel building, the metal building from the...
Okay, the metal building.
And this all goes hand in hand. This is a big concern of mine. I have no other way to get a hold of you guys. You know what I mean? If I know you got a question or something like that, and you don't respond back, it's a huge issue to me. You know what I mean? And I'm not the only one. There's other people here who have the same exact problem. And I want to make sure that you know that. I mean, that's not acceptable.
Right, they're volunteers.
Yeah, every one of us are volunteers. So, and I got the last question I got is, so are the school, as a school, I mean, I've seen this presentation, do you guys feel, are we doing better? Are we doing, I mean, we're in a recovery area. I mean, over the last few years, have we done worse or better? It said we were doing better, but I just watched that we combined the middle school and the high school for the exact words to make our scores look better. That is not an indication to me that we're doing better. And I'm confused. I mean, I'm looking at one radio on one presentation here. There's a lot more to it than just that. And that's my question. Should we feel overall good about what's been going on the last few years?
I think there's
absolutely always room for improvement, and there's definitely room for improvement in our schools and across the board. And I think that we need to be acknowledging where we need those areas of improvement. We also need to build on our strengths, and I think that's very important for us as a school to do that, as a school board, as parents, as students, as teachers, working together to do that. I think that's very important.
I was also happy to hear with the project-based learning presentation that they talked about assessment, and I think that there are a lot of opportunities for multiple measures there as well as in other areas, and I think that we're looking at some multiple measures because certainly the success of the school can't be based on one set of scores. So.
Thank you.
You know, I think the achievements are to be applauded, no doubt about it. I also think that no matter what the condition of the school is, no matter how bad it is, there are going to be people that are going to excel. That's just a fact. I also acknowledge that we have some issues, we have some problems, and we need to get our arms around them. It isn't all just sunshine roses, and if it was, there'd be 6 people here. So I'll leave it at that.
Mr. Lyons, I just ran a search and I'm not seeing any email from you, so look again.
I'll get you a copy of it. This was a while back after the meeting about the buildings up there, and I said, did you get it?
I have to say, I do remember sending an email about 9 months ago
Right.
of that one, and I did not address that one at that point.
I understand.
And since I've been in this position, I have been emailing back. I do not recall receiving that email.
On the metal building.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll look back at that also.
That's no problem. I mean, if you don't get it, it's a separate deal, but like from before, it was one of these deals. Now, Casey always emails back, and I was having a problem with getting emails back. So, and the last thing is, what are we going to do to prevent this from being this bad? I mean, this is pretty bad to get to where we are now. I mean, the amount of people we have here, it's obviously not because we're doing good. I mean, I don't believe that any more than you do. You were supposed to hold 3 town hall meetings, and one of the paperwork. Are you guys going to start doing that to allow the public? The school board is a bad place to, be able to talk a lot. You know what I mean? So these 3 school board meetings that were kind of or the town hall meetings, what they actually called them. It would really be beneficial to let everybody talk, and maybe you wouldn't have to have so many emails.
And later on in our discussion among board members, we've highlighted community forum models and how to go about doing this in a better way. And so that is a focus in our discussion tonight. Thank you, Brian. Lynetta Scholl?
I would request that I can go at the end, so if someone is talking about what I'm talking about, then they don't have to listen to it twice.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it. And Wendy Moore.
So the version you have in your hand is a condensed, I have the condensed because that was about 6 minutes or more, and so I've cut mine down to 3. So the CASB website stated that anyone, including the media, could look at the superintendent's evaluation. Initially, I wanted to see this year's only, but I was surprised by what I saw and read in that evaluation, that I felt compelled as an employee and citizen of this district to gather more information that led me to write this report. You have the report. I have the condensed version. After 7 years, I know the superintendent has many positive qualities and is involved and seems dedicated to this community and district. He acts more like a public relations person, though, instead of having a superintendent role in our district so much that he doesn't seem to see the struggles that the seasoned staff have with the lack of continuity from what he once had. He has not given direction or support to past or present school principals, and that is something that many of our staff feel is extremely needed. 5 years ago, he got into trouble because his main focus was the BEST grant, and he didn't give the needed direction to the new secondary administration. When someone else would have learned from that, the superintendent seems unwilling to give effort in that area. Every year, he seems focused on another construction project, and not with the accountability and the academic growth that our district should be showing by now. This year is the Youth Health Center that it has his focus, when the Southwest Health Center is opening just a few blocks down the street next month. What I learned from this collection of the data, when each standard was average, most of them were less than proficient. And all the summaries from the district department leaders and the board directors for the last 5 years, the majority of the information was the same. The superintendent's strengths are that he is energetic and passionate about this district, informative about state legislation regarding education. Specific areas for improvement for him are consistently follow policy, have much more involvement in curriculum and student academic achievement, plan a long-term budget, and not make promises to staff he cannot deliver. In conclusion, if this was a grade that I or any other employee district had after just 3 years, we would have been terminated or put on a probationary status. He does have several positive characteristics. However, after seeing the consistent lack of growth in specific areas for improvement year after year, I conclude with, why is he still an employee of this district? Our district is in desperate need of a leader that is capable of doing every part of her job well, not just the PR or cheerleader part. We need someone that can follow the directive of the board and push to make the positive changes for our district. If we're going to have standards for our students and teachers, then our superintendent should have the same expectations. Our district deserves a superintendent that is more than just partially proficient at his job. I strongly suggest to you as a board, review the past evaluations in a workshop environment. Do this in order to manage your own research and draw your own conclusions. Put aside your personal feelings for him and look at this as an unbiased duty to your district. I believe that this is equally important to discover what many of the district citizens already know about our superintendent. As you can see, I've attached the data, which includes the 5-year average on each standard of his evaluation, as well as a graph showing a yearly comparison of the primary roles of the superintendent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Wendy. And the next up is Tiffany Nichols. I began attending the school board meetings because I was concerned with our academic status. And although we have many additional issues that need to be addressed, I feel that our children's education should not be pushed aside, and I'd like to make sure we are looking at all of the areas that we need to change. We have been labeled a transitional school by the CDE for the last several years. I am not as concerned that there has been a decline as I am about what we're doing to fix it. The excuses we have heard from the board and the administration seem to be centered on the opt-out culture, leading to a solution of combining middle school scores, the lowest scoring level, with high school scores. As stated in the past, this only masks the real problem, and yet I have seen nothing to suggest that you're looking for a valid solution. It's time to take a deep look at our academics and see what the real issue is. I have a few personal examples that I'd like to share. I'm a very involved parent. My oldest daughter is currently in 3rd grade and excels in reading and math particularly. We began noticing very early in the year, however, that our daughter was regressing.
She wasn't showing her best work, turning in assignments late, and receiving lower grades than we were used to seeing. We began taking a deeper look and ultimately discovered that she hasn't been challenged or held accountable for her faults. I conferenced with her teacher and principal, tried different methods, and hoped for a better outcome. There was little improvement. In the Galloping Goose, dated September 7, 2017, our principal wrote, "Research indicates that homework is beneficial for all levels of education. A good rule of thumb is 10 minutes of homework per grade level. This would be 30 minutes for a third grader a night. If you find that homework is frequently taking significantly more or less time than is outlined here, please let us know. Also, please let us know if the homework seems either too easy or too challenging for your child. My daughter completes her weekly homework packet in less than 10 minutes. When I shared my concern with the principal, he explained that, quote, there are some children who will be more advanced, and so they will be able to complete it quicker than an average student. I was also told to use Khan at home to challenge my daughter in math, which we have done. We have now had to teach her at home to ensure she is challenged. Additionally, I worry for the students who don't have parents that take an active role in their child's education. And what supplementation do they have at home? This year, we have been fortunate enough to have Ms. Katya grant for enrichment reading. We do not, however, have math enrichment or any other subject. It was stated that finding a GT enrichment math teacher has been an issue, although there was never a job opening post for this position at all this year. In order for our children to excel to their best ability, they have to have the resources. Something needs to happen to find those resources or an alternative method. My daughter is bored in certain areas, leading to a lack of interest in all subjects and activities, and this in turn caused her regression. Having watched the teacher presentation that we just had, it's not the teachers. It's not. We have some excellent teachers that are doing their best, and I just want to state that point. It's not them. I reached out to a couple of elementary schools in our area to inquire about their GT and enrichment programs, and I have found a couple different alternatives, and I included those in your packets. One program in our elementary that I would like to praise is the newly assembled Gadget Creators Club, which was started by 2 students and was so popular that it filled before the sign-up deadline was reached. This speaks volumes to me. Our children want to be involved more. We have very few enrichment activities for any age group outside of the regular school day. I will continue to encourage the board to put together an enrichment committee that will work on providing more of these opportunities. We have ample time after school and many Fridays off of school to utilize. And I will state for the record that I'm more than willing to head up that committee or be part of any committee that will better our school. Which leads up to my next topic. Last week, the Galloping Goose newsletter included a write-up about the value of volunteering in the school and all of the available areas to do so. It's worth noting that this exact message, word for word, has been sent out in the Goose no less than 4 times in the past. It included the PTA, Watchdogs, parent volunteers, field trip volunteers, Best Foot Forward Preschool Readiness Program, the Dolores Library Reading Program, school board, and the elementary accountability team. It was encouraged to contact the school with any questions regarding these volunteer opportunities. I was personally excited to see the accountability team included since I have been seeking information regarding that. I emailed and asked our principal for information regarding general information, meeting times, and members. According to the email I received back, this committee should be responsible for the following: review student and school performance and achievement, assist in reporting achievement information to the community, make recommendations to the superintendent relative to priorities for expenditures of district funds by the school, develop, improve, implement, and review the school improvement plans, address issues of common concerns as needs arise. After a few back and forth messages between us, I still have not received information on how to get involved in this committee. I've attached the email correspondence so you can see that as well. As our school is in a transitional phase, not only in academics, but also in overall performance, I am curious as to why we haven't seen anything from that particular committee. I would also expect a principal to be open to anyone wanting to benefit the school, especially in response to a newsletter that he sent out. The last email I received gave me the impression that either he didn't want to provide the information or didn't have it. I did contact MTSS, the multi-tiered support system, 2 days ago, and was given immediate information from the leader of that group. However, I don't know if that committee is the same as the elementary accountability team. I still don't know the answer to that question. Our current staff and volunteer programs are not functioning efficiently. This is one element leading to the decline in our school. It's not just about test scores. It's about our school respect, pride, and collaboration. Everyone involved should be there for the same core reason, and that is our kids. I've come in contact with way too many individuals with an alternative agenda. We should all want to give these kids a school that they truly enjoy and take pride in. This is the time that we all need to work harder than we may have in the past to ensure that they get what they deserve. DPROC explained last week at the disciplinary meeting that school board members are volunteers, implying that they may have additional jobs and responsibilities that take priority, and that they are not able to devote all of their time to the school board activities. This thought upset me. Personally, I have spent hour after hour researching our school, the concerns that have been expressed, and ideas on how to correct them. I know many, many more people who have done the same, so please don't explain to me how much work you have put into fixing these problems, because actions speak louder than words. I would like a plan today. I would like to have a definitive response from the board as to what you're going to do to make improvements in our child's education. And if you don't have anything in place yet, what is your plan for creating that plan in the immediate future? Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Oh, I thought we had one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jerry, how could I do that to you?
Jerry. Hey, got a question.
Okay.
First thing I want to say is, the reason I'm talking tonight, I want to talk to you about misinformation. I hate this thing. First thing I want to say tonight is I want to talk about misinformation. And I'm having a big problem with the board being misinformed on certain things. First thing I want to address tonight is the teachers. I want to thank you. You guys do a great job for the kids. And the kids that are achieving things, you guys are doing a tremendous job. But once again, I want to address misinformation. Mr. Hindemar, she was on here for an award, graduated in 2010. He's currently graduated from college and he's a vet tech. He was up there under the representation list. That's something that just happened recently. This is the problem that I'm having with the school. We recognize students. We recognize a student from back from 2010 on a presentation in 2018. So we're recognizing kids 8 years ago in front of a board that we're having a ton of issues with. So now I want to talk about CHASA. Our athletic director, I had a meeting with him, and I asked him, did you opt us out of CHASA? He said, yes. I had to make a decision back in December. It was a quick decision I had to make at that time. I called a few parents and did it. I had confirmation with our superintendent about this, and we met with him. Did anybody on the school board know that we're opting out of CHASA at that time? And I want you to answer that individually, please.
No, I did not know. I didn't know, and I had heard a rumor recently that was. I didn't know we had already opted out. I thought it was going to be up for discussion.
No, I did not know about it in December, and I've recently heard about it.
I did not know either.
I did not know, and I do know that it should have been a board decision.
So there's one problem I have. We need a decision to opt kids out to address safety concerns in football where gear don't have to be taken care of. There's a lot of things that CHASA does that makes regulations that protect our kids as student athletes. So we had a decision made by our superintendent and with the recommendation from our athletic director without anybody on this board knowing whatsoever. When I asked the athletic director, and I'm going to defend him a little bit, when I asked him, I said, why didn't you come address the board? He said, my job is to address the superintendent. The superintendent's job is to get with the board and explain it to the board. This never happened. So is he able to make decisions on his own without coming to you on anything when it affects our kids in the school, when we voted you to sit up here to take care of our students? I have a big problem with this because it should have been brought to a public meeting. And how many of you knew this before I even said anything 2 weeks ago or a week ago at the meeting? I know you didn't, Vanjie, you told me. I know Deanne didn't. She heard a little bit, but not a whole lot. I know Dee, same way, because we talked. So what are we going to do to address this? Another question is, when I contacted CHASA and another gentleman in the back of the room, we did some research on our own. We asked them if we were opted out. They said we have, I think, until the end of May, and is that correct? Correct. Okay, till the end of May to decide if we're opting out of this or not. So we're trying to figure out, and the reason I'm asking is, if we decide that we're going to follow this and opt out, are you going to release all our kids if we want to go to a different district and play football for another team that's CHASA certified? Because right now they're ineligible. If my son would leave here and go play somewhere else at another school, he would have to sit out 4 weeks because he could not play football, because I don't want to play for a non-sanctioned CHASA school. So is this board going to approve
Every sport
that you played in?
Yep.
So my question to you, are you going to waive, and my CHASA and tell them that you're going to waive these so these kids can transfer and go play for a CHASA school? Because you're putting their safety at risk by us out of CHASA. And this was all done because the superintendent took it upon himself to advise the AD it was okay and not have school board approval. I have a big problem with that.
Thank you for that information, Jerry. We appreciate it very much.
When can we get an answer on that? Because spring football is going to be starting, and I need to know if I'm going to transfer my kid out or not, because if this is coming up, they're already starting to live, they're starting to go into spring football. We know what that plan is, because if we're going to do that, these kids are going to miss out on opportunities. So
Absolutely.
I'd like an answer within the week, if possible.
Is that fair enough, within 2 days?
Yeah, that's
okay.
correct.
Okay. I think, does that sound reasonable to you guys, to come up with an answer on it and know what it is and get real details and understand it, just so we understand as a board. I understand CHASA. I dealt with them when I did a little bit of coaching, and but I definitely I just want to be able to make sure that we have the information that we need, and we will let you know.
I'll give you a week. I'm just trying to figure out so we know soon enough.
I don't think we need a week. I think that we just need to direct Dr. Cooper to call CHASA tomorrow and find out and get us back on. I understand we also had the option.
The sooner the better. You got to get a coach hired and everything else. We got to make these kids moving.
My kids are on defense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And sports are a big deal in the high school.
Okay, I can't do anything. We can't do anything until tomorrow. We will, I'm sure that we already have a public out for a new football coach.
Transfer, make sure you get it right, because he'll screw you up.
And I just want to know, because I understand that we had from CHASA an option to do 8-man football, so we wouldn't have to travel so far. That would put us back to Mancus, Dove Creek, Nuclear, Natarita. How do you guys feel about that?
No.
No? Yes. That's what we need to know, because I would love to see it back. I would love to see it the way it was when my kids were in high school and we played Dove Creek and Mancus. And we didn't have to travel halfway across the street for a football, or halfway across the state for a football game.
We'll talk together. Here, I got this. We've been researching this together.
For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Dylan Ferguson. I've coached assistant for football here the last couple of years. I've got about 12 years of coaching experience. I moved here 10 years ago. Been coaching since I got here. Some in Cortez. I moved over a couple years ago. Going back to the discussion about opting out of CHASA. As an assistant coach, I was not even informed, didn't have my opinion asked or anything if, as an assistant, if we should go that way. I was informed later that we had already opted out. that it was in the best interest of the kids, our school size of players, things like that. Last couple of years, I got to see this firsthand. We are facing some schools that are really good size. We face teams that graduate 100 kids compared to our 30. They have 60 kids on the sideline, we have 25. That being said, we can get back to what Dolores was 10 years ago with 45 kids on the sideline playing football. Doing other sports, it all starts at the top. And that's with superintendent, school board, all the way down to lonely little assistants like me. If you look at things, I'm just going to give this quick example of our little wrestling program that's up there in the room right now. This is Dolores, and from the age of 4 to 13, we had 82 kids sign up to wrestle. There's a reason. That reason being, one, the kids like the sport. They like to try. If you get up there and get associated with all the parents and the coaches that are involved, it's a very good community to be in. That's a very good model to follow. Going to the 8-man thing. There is a lot of people I've talked to over the last several years that are very, very strongly against 8-man football. Reason being, some people say it's not football. It's not as hard, it's not this, it's not that. Where I grew up in Oklahoma, I played 8-man football from 4th grade through 7th grade. Then I moved to a different school and started playing 11-man football. And for anyone who says that 8-man is not football, strap it on and go on out there and let me know what you think after a few weeks. I do think that we can get back to big numbers of 40, 50 kids on the sideline playing high school football in 11-man. I think you can get there. It's going to take some time, a little bit of effort. But with the issue of driving 4 and 5 hours to away games, not getting home until 2 or 3 in the morning, playing teams that are that much bigger. As far as my understanding goes, I think we have not even 200 kids in the high school. Macus has 30 less than us. They're 8-man. I personally would like to see us go to 8-man football and play against Dove Creek and Norwood and those local teams. Reason being, as I said, if you've ever played 8-man football and been involved with it, it's still football. You still have to learn how to tackle. You still have to learn how to run. You got to learn how to throw. All the same rules apply. In my opinion, it's actually somewhat more difficult because in 11-man football with schemes and strategies, I can take this person who's maybe not quite as good and I can get a play away from that person. I can take that person out of the equation once in a while. Likewise on their defense, if they've got a really good player, I can strategize and get away from that person who's their stud. 8-man football doesn't work that way. In the high school level. When you get up to big high schools and college, everyone on the field is a top-notch athlete, that's different. But in 8-man, you can no longer single out a weaker link. You can no longer run away from someone's strength. You have to line up and just head up and play football. That's my 2 cents on the whole deal.
My question would be, so what is the break point to play 8-man? Is it 100, I may have this right, maybe I don't, but is it 150 students?
From my understanding, it's 150 enrollment of high school.
Okay, so being over that, can we still lobby
Yes.
to play 8-man?
You can, it's up to CHASA if they allow it.
You can ask for an exemption.
Yes. So when I called CHASA for 8-man football and I asked them, and they offered that too, when A.D. Trussler was making his things about that, they did offer 8-man football. And what it is a waiver process. You waiver through and you have to talk about numbers coming out for your team, the struggle of eligibility. There's a lot of things that go into that waiver. The other thing we find out about 8-man before everybody says, no 8-man, just because if we go to 8-man for 1 or 2 years to build our program back, doesn't mean we can't opt back to 11-man. So I want everybody to understand, right now, when we only have 18 kids out for football, I mean, we've seen it. I've seen kids getting hurt, getting beat up. They're playing both ways, playing special teams and doing things. I would highly, really hope to talk you guys into looking maybe a year to two of 8-man football to build the program back, to play teams like Mancus, to play teams like Nuclear and Ellery, to play Duck Creek, to play local, to play here, to build our program back. And then it might be a one-year thing. If we have 50 kids come out next year and, okay, we play 1 year of 8-man, build it back, and then jump, then we can come right back to 11-man. But the idea is the program is so down right now at the high school level, we got to do something to build it back up, to get it back to the pride where Dolores was back in 2000, Chris, what was this, 2006, when they played us in the playoffs out east, I think it was, where they traveled, and I remember you had like 67 people on the sideline, and you guys went to semifinals of state. So it's the whole idea of we have to build a program back, and that would be the best way, especially with the size kids we have, the young amount of kids. I think right now we're looking at only having 2 senior football players coming out for next year that we had, I think, is what we came up with. And so it's a rebuilding process.
Lynette, you have a question since you didn't take your time to speak.
Well, I'm going to take my time to speak, but I do have a question. I'm just behind him. But I have a question for the coach. So if we go to 8-man, so we will have varsity, JV, and possibly B. Do the other schools have that capability of a JV at least?
Based off the numbers we had this year, estimating for next season, there's a varsity team. You got 15, 16 kids on a team playing 8-man football.
But I mean for Dumancus,
as far as I know, Duck Creek, no, did not. Duck Creek barely had a team, had to forfeit several games 2 or 3 years ago. They didn't have enough to play. Last year, I think they finished the year with 15, 16 kids. Most 8-man schools play just varsity. But the reason is, do what?
Didn't Duck Creek go to state last year, 8-man?
No. Mancus made it to the state finals or semifinals last year with a total of 22 kids on the team. There's not usually enough, but going to 8-man, if you had 35 kids on the team, if you got to those numbers for a year or two, yes, you could break up and do a full JV squad. They would still travel varsity games typically, depending on what school would allow. But you could set up and run 2, 3 regular games throughout the year as JV only games.
So maybe they could play in Shiprock or...
That would all depend on an AD and a coach who would want to do that and what they would actually, but everything's a possibility.
Okay.
At least from my understanding, my viewpoint.
Coach, not for you, sorry.
Oh, so.
I would like to speak, being a high school coach as well. I'm the high school varsity baseball coach, and hi, I'm Russ Hamilton. I'm the high school baseball coach. Nothing against football, but this affects a lot more than football, basketball, track. I have 27 kids out of my team, so I can't say that it's a numbers problem for me at all. Opting out of CHASA, not a good idea. Like I said, it doesn't just affect football. I think it would be great for football to go to 8-man. I think that we don't have the size, we don't have the numbers, but it affects every sport, not just football. I'm sorry, that's the way I feel. I know that Larry and a coach that used to coach here, Mitzi, we all, and I don't coach to win that. I mean, yeah, I'd love to win games. I coach the kids, not the winning. I could care less if I won a game a year as long as we're creating good people to put out on the street every day. And CHASA is a ruling body. They are there to keep our kids safe. They're there to go and ask questions to.
How does this insurance for the district cover the district and students if they're not under this umbrella?
That's above my pay grade. That's here. I don't know anything about the insurance.
The question is, I'm from a bigger city where you couldn't have somebody that wasn't a licensed teacher, coach. You don't just pull
Well, in the smaller districts, you can actually opt, as long as you're.
Do you have to have a background check?
We have to have, we have to go through all the background checks. We also have to take tests from the state and take ruling classes and stuff like that. But no, we don't have to be a licensed teacher to do that. I'm a medic by trade, so that's.
And you guys have to go through classes through CHASA, correct, to be certified?
What?
Yes, you have to do classwork through CHASA to be certified. And thank you, Rusty, for your comments. One thing I just want to make sure that we all seem to be in agreement of what we know CHASA provides for the state. I don't think there's any disagreement on that. So we need to move forward with that. We do have some decisions to make about this 8-man versus 11-man football. And I do encourage you to, if you really have an invested interest in that, you do reach out and email some of your comments and concerns, because that's going to help us in this process, because it may not be something that we have as much knowledge of as you do. So please, please reach out, Lee.
Okay, I don't remember making that decision, so I need to follow up with our AD next week, and I will get back with you. But what I heard loud and clear from my bosses here is that I need to call CHASA tomorrow and tell them we do not want to opt out of CHASA. So I got that message. Thank you.
Dylan, Larry, James, Jerry, could all of you guys quickly get together and get all the pertinent parties together and decide which direction you want to go, and then come up with a plan just as quickly as you can, whether it's going to be 8-man or 11. It sounds like right now you might be headed in the direction of 8-man, but could somebody organize that and get all the interested parties together? Thank you.
I'll be glad to head that up.
All right, I just have a question. If we have till the end of the year to sanction back into CHASA, if at that time when we sanction back in, do we have to declare 8-man or 11-man? So that's a question that needs to be answered.
All right, I'm not good at speaking in front of these things, but I'm going to tell you I spent one afternoon up here just the other day. I talked to numerous players in the parking lot. There's one X factor why these kids won't play. All right? If you take away that X factor, you will have 40 kids on the football field next year. I guarantee it. Some of the biggest kids in school will play again. You don't have to worry about the safety. We will have the biggest boys back out on the field. We'll have the skill players and everything else to play 11-man football, and that's all I got to say.
Is it possible that maybe if I get to Larry and a few of us come in, is it possible that we could do a quick assembly just with the boys of the high school and ask them how many of them would be interested in playing and doing that? So that we have, and girls, sorry. Anybody interested in playing football? Could we do a quick assembly so then we would have a number to be able to research that, like Casey wanted to research quick? We would at least be able then to find out the interest, and then, like Larry said, there'd be 40 kids out, and we would know that for sure.
How about this plan is we call CHASA tomorrow and we find out that we can get back into where we're supposed to be, and we're in the timely filing for that, which it sounds like we are. And then from there, we find out what type of thing that we have to actually apply for the 8-man, and maybe put that delay that to some extent. Maybe that you need the information from how many players you're going to have, because tomorrow there's no school. And so that would give you next week, hopefully, that you could do something of that nature. I don't know how that works within the school. You're going to have to work with the school principal on getting that organized. I don't think that'll be a problem at all. But if you could contact the school principal, Jen Huffman, then that would be wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. It's all, I just can't, I'm all, but we don't have a report, I don't think.
We don't have a what?
There's not someone here just to, oh, I'm sorry, I thought I was told there was not.
Lynetta's talking though, right?
Lynetta's talking next, we're just trying to organize ourselves. Lynetta, come on up.
Come on, Lynetta.
And thank you for respecting the 3 minutes, as you always do.
Oh, yeah, right. Thank you for I don't think I need that. Can everybody hear me? No.
You have to hear Lynetta, come on.
Oh, my. Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to see everyone. How exciting is this? And then we got to see what all the children are doing. Isn't that good? That's excellent. Should have happened about 5 years ago, but I'm glad it's happening now. So to go on, I did see in the presentation that our graduation rate is at 92.7. Well, guess who has the facts? Guess who has the facts? Let me get them out here. Give me just a second. Sorry, I should have been more prepared. I was, but then I gave up my time. Gotta get my glasses on. I asked what our graduation rates were. 2016, 2017, 80% of our senior class graduated. 2015, 2016, 89.1. 2014, 2015, 78.9. 2013, 2014, 86.4. 2012, 2013, awesome year, biggest class that ever graduated from Dolores, 89.7. Those are facts, straight from the district office and the state. More facts? Anybody want to know more facts?
I do.
If anybody is interested, a civil lawsuit was filed against the school in 2014. I have that paperwork if you would like to look at that. I'm not going to bore everybody with that. But if you see at the end of your agenda where we have the community forums to be formed, that was part of the settlement. That was to be done in 2012. In 2013, the school did a survey. On this survey, we didn't do it, the school did it. In this survey, it is asked, I think the Dolores School Board listens to the community. We have agree, we have somewhat agree, somewhat disagree, and disagree. Disagree, 90%. The Dolores School Board communicates effectively with the community. Disagree, 100%. I think the Dolores School Board does a good job of managing the district finances. We agree, 100%. Well, excuse me, 75%. I think the Dolores School Board does a good job of managing the district buildings and grounds. We have 75% agree, 52 disagree. Dolores School Board watches out for the best interest of the students. Disagree, 95%. I think the superintendent is an effective communicator. 115% disagree. I think the superintendent is a good listener. 110% disagree. I don't know. It's a school survey.
People, probably.
I don't know.
It's probably 110 people.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, maybe so.
Well, let's make sure it's
Oh, this is in percentages. The superintendent created a vision for the district. Disagree, 95. The superintendent has high expectations for all staff and students. Disagree, 95. And what do we think that will be now? And in closing, I'm going to read a little story because everyone knows I like my stories. A gentleman is speaking at a coaching seminar. He's an elderly gentleman. He's a baseball coach. He's been a coach for many, many, many years. And at 78 years old, he comes up to the podium. I mean, he's crutched and he's coming up there. But around his neck is hanging the home base for baseball. After speaking for 25 minutes, not once mentioning the prop hanging around his neck, this coach appeared to notice the snickering among some of the coaches. Even those who knew the coach had to wonder exactly where he was going with this, or if he had simply forgotten about home plate since he had gotten on the stage. And then finally, he says, "You're probably all wondering why I'm wearing home plate around my neck, or maybe you think I escaped from the state hospital." Everyone laughed. "No," he continued, "I may be old, but I'm not crazy. The reason I stand here before you today is to share with you baseball people. I'm sharing with you people today what I have learned in my life and what I've learned about home plate in my 78 years. I ask you, baseball coaches, Little League coaches, how big is home plate? Anybody got an answer for me?" 18 inches. It is 17 inches. Does it change when we're in Little League? Does it change when we play Babe Ruth? Does it change when we play high school? No, it's always 17 inches. Minor league? Major league? No, it's always 17 inches. And what do they do with a big league pitcher who can't throw the ball over that 17 inches? They send him to Pocatello, is what he said. What they don't do is this. They don't say, "Oh, that's okay, Bobby, you can't hit 17-inch target. We'll make it 18 inches or 19 inches. We'll make it 20 inches so you have a better chance of throwing the ball over. If you can hit that, let us know so we can make it wider still. Say 25 inches. Coaches, what do we do when our best players show up late to practice? Run laps, huh? What do we do if he violates curfew? He sits the bench. What if he uses drugs? Do we hold him accountable, or do we change the rules to fit him? Do we widen home plate?" The chuckles gradually faded as 4,000 coaches grew quiet. The fog lifting as the old coach's message began to unfold. Then he turned the plate toward himself, and using a Sharpie, he began to draw something. When he turned it around toward the crowd, point up, a house was revealed, complete with a freshly drawn door and 2 windows. This is the problem in our homes today. With our marriages, with the way we parent our kids, with our discipline, we do not teach accountability to our kids. And there is no consequences for failing to meet standards. We just widen the plate. Then to the point, At the top of the house, he added a small American flag. This is the problem in our schools today. The quality of our education is going downhill fast, and teachers have been stripped of the tools they need to be successful. To educate, discipline our young people. We are allowing others to widen home plate. Where is that getting us? And this is the problem in our church, where powerful people in position of authority have taken advantage of our children, which is no consequence to us. But I was amazed at a baseball convention where I expected to learn something about curveballs and bunting and how to run better practices. I had learned something far more valuable. From an old man with a home plate strung around his neck, I had learned something about life, about myself, and about my own weaknesses, and about my responsibilities as a leader, as we are all leaders. I had to hold myself and others accountable to that which I knew to be right, lest our families, our faith, our society continue down an undesirable path. If I am lucky, you will remember one thing from me and this old coach today. It is this: if we fail to hold ourselves to a higher standard, a standard of what we know to be right, if we fail to hold our spouses and our children to the same standards, if we are unwilling or unable to provide a consequence when they do not meet the standard, if our schools and churches and our government fail to hold themselves accountable to those they serve, there is but one thing to look forward to. There are dark days ahead. Coaches, keep your players, no matter how good they are. Your own children, and most of all, keep yourself at 17 inches.
The SRO report, are we doing an SRO report today? Steve,
Taylor's not here today. Steve's here.
Would you like to?
Real quick. I had to hustle back dinner, so yeah, I sped a little bit. We had 8 safety details reported just since the first of the month. All have been investigated. 3 of them turned out to be not correct as far as the complaint is, so it's not alleged the crimes that were alleged to have occurred. We've been dealing with your children's issues every single day for the last week and a half. So things are, at least they're communicating with us. And we are getting better communications with the administration to move forward with a lot of these issues. We do have plans set up where we can communicate directly with the school board so that all of you get the information prior to, so you'll know what's happening. And that's the most important thing. I did receive something that I just walked in with that I was unaware of that was reported on Monday. The SRO didn't know, so we will be dealing with that on Monday. So it's kind of a serious issue that, again, everything seems to stem from social media. And this is another issue that I've talked about a lot. It is a problem. And the only thing I would ask for all of you is to know what your kids are saying and doing on social media and on computers, okay? You can look at their phones, okay? It's up to you. And we can all work together to help stop some of this cyberbullying and some of the issues that are being brought up. But we are making some progress, and that's what really matters the most. Do you have any questions? No? Yes, ma'am.
I would have brought it up when I spoke, but I didn't know if he was going to give a report on the investigation into the health clinic.
That'll be coming to the next school board meeting.
Okay.
Okay? So you all know. Okay? All right.
Investigation into the health clinic.
Casey, what he's talking about, you already have.
Okay, student government.
I'm Sierra Schwartz. I'm the Vice President of the Dolores Student Government, and sorry I don't look presentable. I just got out of track and I wasn't planning on speaking. But student government's gone well. We implemented recycling back into the school because it got taken out, and so we've taken that over, and we've been doing that each week. We've done it for 2 weeks now, so that's a positive. Casey McClellan and other school board members came to our meeting and heard what we had to discuss, and so I'm sure that'll come up at some point, and our concerns with the school and also positives with the school. And so we spoke about that, and so that was good. And okay, so on behalf of a concerned student and not like completely not on behalf of student government at all, I was told at track practice today that we have the ineligibility list came out, and we have 200 students ineligible to speak between the middle school and high school, and so that was just a raised concern, and we were wondering if that was accurate or true. But we had a significant number of our track members ineligible, and they couldn't come to practice because of it, and so we were concerned with that.
Thank you very much. We as board members do not receive that ineligibility list. Well, we're not allowed to. That's not a privilege to us. The student ineligibility list is not open to the public, and we are the public. So, but we can follow up with the principal for the school.
You can have the count, though. I mean,
Oh yeah, we can get a count if we ask for a count. Yes, yes. We just don't receive a list. Thank you. All right, and then the MLT, are you presenting tonight? The district accountability. Okay. Okay.
At this time, I would like to move that the Board of Education goes into executive session for the purpose of discussing regarding personnel matters as authorized by CRS 24-6 40243. Those present at the outset of the executive session shall be members of the Board of Education.
Second. Any, do we discuss on that? Okay.
If it's a
vote.
the person needs to be invited.
Yes.
For personnel matters.
For personnel matters, the person needs to be invited to the executive session.
Okay, then I amend that motion to include Superintendent Scott Cooper.
Do I have a second? Can I have a vote?
Casey McClellan. Aye. Angie McCoy. Dave Phelps. Aye. Dee Frog. Dee Frog. Aye. Deanna Wilson. Aye. Are you going to go somewhere?
Yeah, we're going to the library.
Perfect.
And this
Is there any way I can get a copy of what you gave the board in minutes? If you don't have it tonight, if you don't have it tonight, you can drop it by, email it to me, whatever. It's just good for the public record. Registration, I mean,
like Josie was gone with Delilah and Aylin half the time. I don't even, I'm like, someone will keep an eye on them. Like, but that's the kind of feeling we had. Right. It was like, there's so many of you wonderful people around there who take care of our kids. Was that frolics and yeah, Brinley went off with her friends and Maggie would have if she was almost too near to history. But somebody tried. What? And now your 10-year-olds. The ball went across the trees, started the train to the street. I screamed through her name. She was darting over them. But that's exactly what I'm always here. Yeah, I'm always the guard. I mean, it was just, yeah. I guard my, well, we don't have the real guard. Sure, yeah. And our picnic is at this park. We have no park. Remember I was set up on the edge of the river and got into the park? Yeah. It's a deer. Yeah. We have no park test. So just gotta watch for strangers. That's your other partner. Do you like me doing it? When I was sitting here doing this, you should have got me. We both have nervous habits. She does this, and I do that. She's totally bored. I had a teacher call me out when I was younger for doing that. And I was like, well, today she was safe. She was brushing teeth with kids, and she went like this. Is she really that bored? Yeah. And Debbie and I found that out here. She's bored. She's bored. That's why I'll be like at the table and I'll just listen. It's like I've seen that. But I've always done it. I've always So now I tell her, yeah, and I go like this when I speak or anything, and people say, are you trained? And I go, well, what do you need? I gotta do something with my hands. I don't know what I do. I black out. I don't even put it up there. You did good. You took deep breaths. That was proud of you. She sent me like 2 versions. I'm like, you kind of got it. You're positive. You got your point across. Really lashing out at people that you wanted to laugh. You did good. That's why I wrote it all down, which I really don't like doing because I don't think it translates well, but I'm a careful speaker. So that's what I have to do. Whatever. Make sure Debbie has her toddler home with us. Sending Maggie away. If I had the money, she would be there every day. No. Yeah. Lately? Yeah, but she doesn't feel good lately. Have her. I'll switch you. Okay. Can I get her the shirt? It's so yeah, and she's like, we're the master negotiator. I'll show you. Want to go to the library? I sat there and drank a lot of, I know, okay, well, we can't go to the library because we have a meeting at 11. So we can't move the library. You're right. She's like, because she likes to hide off. So she was doing that, and they like pushed her forward, and she wanted to go higher, but they pushed her higher, and she like flying off. Maybe deep down inside of your brain, no. How was her reaction? She like stuck up her like she was like, and she whacked her head, and I was like, oh, right, fine, sometimes. I need to not push, like, I need to not do that all the same time. she's the representative, so she should know a hell of a lot about it. It's not our board. But she's the both kids, yeah. She's the representative. So she should have all that information. Yeah. See, we don't have experience. We don't even know who these people are. I don't have a person. And then you go on the website and you try to find like how to try to find these I don't even want to talk about how many hours I've devoted of my time trying to make all their shit they can't do. She has them printed in her binder. I don't have all of them. I don't have all. Not quite. You're on the way. We don't that was my not all kids are. I think there's on the online yeah, trust me, I have tried. Here's what she probably just scared. When I sit up here after like hearing policy meeting where the person like all the policies that they weren't going through the right process in hiring to make sure they had good background checks, that they people have flags, tracks. They can't talk about it. And they didn't get everybody like why I brought it up. Like they said it. It's bullshit. People had artists come through. And then Dory, right? Yeah. Oh no. So that's like how can you trust them? And then we talked to one of our friends, like acquaintances today, like planning for this run, and they tell us about another situation in 6th grade class where a kid or a girl is like bullying another girl, telling her to kill herself, and they don't get to do anything about that child. They don't even discipline the child, and then they put the girl into assistant meetings. They don't even tell the parents, and then they're like, this is the first time. Oh no, there's another time. Why have you called on the parent runs like she's in the school, she's like director of like this really big project. She's very involved. The reason she's under right now is because she's volunteering at the center. So how can I trust the administration to like handle this stuff? No, it's her daughter's friend, and so that's how she found out about it. And they haven't done anything about it. But her daughter got had an in-school suspension before, and got called to come sign on. So how
Thank you.
Thank you for being so patient. We come out of executive session, no decisions were made. Several recommendations were made, and we'd like to continue on with our meeting. Do you have anything else to say? The next is discussion items, and starting with, that's how it's worded. We had pulled out of the action items the resignation of the AD, and in reference to that, we would like to form a committee with coaches and students to, and parents to help facilitate athletics going forward. And so we need to do that in some form or fashion specifically for the sports that are being impacted sooner, so that these things can be planned appropriately, and that we have the support for our activities department, because we know that's going to be very important up through the end of the year and through the summer. And so we would like to form that committee, and I'm not sure how you guys want to exactly go about that. If you want to try to do something with starting with people tonight who would be able to be on that committee in terms of our athletics and activities, and be able to stay on that committee until we are able to work out a good fit for the school. Anybody want to lead that one?
I'll lead it. I'll take it.
So, y'all owe me coffee. Who all wants to get this now? If you're going to be applying for a job as a coach, be considerate of that, because that would put you in a different category if you're going to be on this team. Okay? I've got all the CHASA books sitting on my desk. I can make a phone call if you'd like, Mr. Cooper. Cooper? Okay, I'm just saying I can make it because I'm the assistant athletic director, so I can call and pull back any paperwork that was filed and say because he has resigned.
I think the superintendent is.
So,
if you want to follow up with that, that's great.
Okay. I'm saying
got to do that.
Yes,
specifically.
that's fine, but I'm just saying I can do it with you. We can get together and work on that. So, so you love parents? I'm pretty loud. You guys can hear me back there, right? No. You want me to talk on the mic? Really? Nancy. Everybody else has to.
Okay, so now I'm loud. All right, should we open this up for a survey? Does anybody have the time to do this? It is.
How about we do a sign up?
How about we do a sign up? How many do we want to limit it to?
Yeah,
What do you think, if you're going to be in charge, what do you think?
I would like to limit it to 7 to 9 people. That's what I'll limit it to. That way we have a breaking, deciding vote. 5 would be ultimate, but.
And specifically, would be encouraging those coaches that have their seasons coming up in the fall.
So give us some input. I will get the 8-man stuff sent over. Yes, Mr. Baird. There's a sign up over here. Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
Are students allowed?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I'm only going to limit it to 2 students, so you guys need to figure it out. The only reason I'm saying that is because we need to make sure that we've got a coach, myself, so Forrest and Paige, are the students good with those 2? Because they're going to be our seniors next year? Okay. Got it. Okay.
Hey, Corey.
Yes, sir.
Stick this.
Okay.
What we could do is ask Kari to form the committee with the 7 to 9, and then have an open meeting where she's really good with that.
Well, you guys have to make that motion.
Yes, we had to make a motion to put that on the, we'll just do that specifically separate, correct?
It's a separate item, yeah.
I move that we accept the resignation of Chris Tressler as athletic director.
I second it.
And football coach and behavior intervention. There's three.
Can you say that too?
All three are listed on it.
As head football coach also and behavior interventionist.
And I had a second from Deanna. Did you vote?
Casey McClellan.
Aye.
Benji McCoy. Kay Phelps.
Aye.
Dee Brock. Deanna Trilson.
Aye. Thank you, Kari, for taking on this role, and we really appreciate doing that. What was that? Yes.
Thank you, Kari, for taking this on, and we really appreciate the time and the commitment that you'll be putting forth. Discussion. Sorry. I'm going to pass the microphone over to Kay Phelps in discussing community forum models.
Yes, I seconded it, and we voted on it.
Sorry.
Sorry.
All right, I seconded it.
And then what was the vote?
Unanimous.
So then they're going to.
Okay, ready to move on?
Okay.
So on the topic of committees, along with student safety and discipline, we heard loud and clear from all of you that community engagement was a concern and something we need to address. So, and I understand, by the way, that we've had some community forums in the past that were not well attended, and so we need to maybe look at some new models, right? So, do you have some handouts? If maybe somebody in the front row could help. I didn't print enough for everyone, but if, and then here, enough, wait, let's leave enough for Joyce as well. So, if you could, that'd be great. Yeah. Actually, this is the white copy.
No. You got it.
You know what, here, her and I can share one.
So, but let's go ahead. So we know that healthy and high-performing schools engage family and communities effectively. We know that. And so how do we achieve that? How do we achieve this kind of a crowd on other topics? And so I consulted with CASB's member of he was the director of Human Services, and also spent a lot of time on the Learning Center tab on CASB. And that's that's a link that's unfortunately not a live link since this is a hard copy, but it's the one that you see on the top of the paper that says Community Engagement Toolkit. So these are the CASB recommendations, and since that toolkit is a rather large document. I did take the liberty of just bulleting a few high points. And those are the ones that are on the blue sheet. So to start, an effective community engagement program depends heavily on a good plan. And so some of the bulleted points, I won't read all of them because they're there for you, is that the board and the superintendent together need to discuss the purpose of a community engagement, whatever forum, town meeting, whatever format is used. Decide how and what will the info and insights from the forum be used, and what does the community wish to discuss? What is the policy concern to be addressed by the forum? What background and historical information we need? There's quite a few things that go into the planning of a successful town hall or community forum kind of meeting. Think about who the audience is, who do we strive to engage, and ideally that's a cross-section of folks. We need to look at effective models and determine what the board's role is. The CASB recommendation, by the way, is that the board's role is a host, just to listen and be impartial. Set a timeline, that's something that is a goal that comes out of the forum, a timeline with incremental steps. And then it's important to appoint coordinator, facilitator, recorder, talk about location, and the location needs to be comfortable, needs to have good sound and good ambience. And then go about recruiting. What's also really important is a communication plan, because the goal ultimately is to not just educate and work with staff, but also the community at large, and with the news media. Okay, so those are the points, and then you'll notice that I tried to keep it to one page, so I did a front and back. There are a lot of things on the website. We can all have a look, and I do propose that the board take a little bit of time to look through and see what would be the most helpful for our community. I'd like to say that I noticed right away something that popped up was in terms of good models was around using protocols like the World Cafe protocol that Jen Huffman used. So we were able to, right away, we did the presentation, we had identified a community concern, number one, and very quickly moved into an action plan and breakouts for input from community, and using that World Cafe format, which is one of the ones that's recommended. You'll notice under effective community engagement model checklist that it's not highlighting particular districts, so I did some other digging. I'll just tell you a couple. For example, the Padra School District, it's in northern Colorado. It's, yeah, I looked at that, and it's a Padra. Oh. Is it Kurder? Huh, Kurder. I looked it up, and I said, and I asked, how do you say that? And it said, most commonly mispronounced thing in Colorado, and it said, say, Padra. So, okay. So they have a community tab. I was very impressed with their community tab because it had a community toolkit series, so they highlight certain topics. So the topic, for example, is one that one of the principals might have working to implement, for example, restore justice. That would be in the series. I know that I see coming across with, thank you, some of the newsletters, I see embedded links and articles for folks, but I think maybe on the website it might be a good idea to have a community tab and have that toolkit with those topics that we're really looking into. Also on their community tab they have committee work, just like the one that was just formed here for athletics. Some examples on theirs was school start time was a committee. And then a partnership page for featuring partnership opportunities for businesses, nonprofits, community-based organizations, and so on. And then they have a TV, like we now have, that is showcasing things that are going on and success stories in schools. So people are able to see those, even if they don't come to a board meeting like tonight. Those wonderful presentations could be on the website. In Bayfield, they have a conversation cafe. It's a bi-monthly event, and it's on a specific topic. They have grants that pay for guest speakers, so they would have guest speakers on topics like restorative justice. And it's very structured. A lot of the models that I looked at were very structured. Salida is another one, and they're a school that's done some remarkable things around community involvement. They say that their success they attribute to their responsiveness. We keep working with the community, they say. When they ask us something, they respond. So those are just a few. I know there are others that are good models, but I will say this, that they're topic-oriented, and the topic is tied to policy. And that anyone is free to do research and they don't have to have a background in that specific topic, because we all know that we do need varying perspectives on issues, and certainly different skill sets on those issues. So I just would like for us to consider as a board to look at some other formats and perhaps consider some bi-monthly or maybe other month, something. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Kay, for the recommendation, and I think it would be good to also go back to what we had done for a while was look at, since we have a turnover in the board, look at the strengths of each board member and be able to have more outreach as a board. And we did coordinate that a couple of years back. We would do that where we kind of assign who is going to be attending who had kids in certain activities already, but just trying to do better outreach and coordinate by communicating with each other again in dealing with our strengths, whether it be with early intervention, whether it be in your line of work, as a business owner, et cetera, that I think we need to be a little better at working together and communicating together that way to continue that outreach.
Thank you so much for that research. That takes a lot of time and energy to find those alternative formats for public discussion, and that just truly shows that you are forward-thinking, progressive, willing to listen to the community, want input in a respectful manner, and we just really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I would just like to say, I thank all of you for coming. There are many board meetings that we sit at, that the newspaper's there, maybe somebody from the school that's giving a program or presentation, and that's it. And then we don't see anybody until there's a major conflict. I would like to see more of you at all of the meetings to get some input.
Okay, so moving on to action items, the consent agenda. Is there anything in the action items that anyone would like to discuss? Okay. Do I have a motion to move forward?
I'll make a motion that we approve the following action items as a consent agenda. I'm not going to read all of them. Casey, second.
Discussion?
Casey McClellan.
Aye.
Benji McCoy. Aye. Kay Phelps. Aye. Steve Brock. Aye. Deanna Chilton.
Aye.
A strategic plan update or presentation. I think we did the student success and student-centered culture in our presentation. Is there anything left with student first financing that you'd like to cover?
The legislation's going to close at our next board meeting, May 10th, and we'll know exactly how much money we'll receive for next year.
Okay, thank you. And then the superintendent report.
It's in your
packets. In our packets.
Any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Any questions? No. Okay. Academic reports, preschool?
No, it's in our packet.
It's in the packet too.
It's in the packet. Anything you'd like to add?
Enrollment is very strong. We have a waiting list for toddlers, and inputs are half full already, and preschools, like Belly's, is very full. So it's going well. Thank you.
And Gary, anything?
Just, check out the group. There's so much happening. Career day, field day. Oh, sorry.
Can you scoot them around or something? I don't know how mobile this is, but sorry. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Just
Okay, I've been told to be brief. We've got a lot going on. We got career day coming up, field day, 6th grade Moab trip, 5th grade musical, 4th grade track, 5th grade track and field. We got a 6th grade spike ball tournament. There's the talent shows coming up. Character days coming up, and then of course, there's a lot happening at the elementary over the next 7 weeks. So also, I just wanted to mention at State Destination Imagination, our elementary team placed 7th out of 23 at state. Ready to go. A lot of that has to do with the practice they get in projects, and the state competitions are all about projects. Annalisa Vega qualified for the State National History Day competition. She'll be going to that soon. And she also won $100 at the State Science Fair, so it's quite an amazing young lady. So anyway, and there was one other young man, Mr. Livick, who went to the State Science Fair, and he had the best time of his life. So.
Thank you, Gary. So I was just going to touch on the secondary report since Jen isn't here. We did announce that we had a Betcher Foundation Scholarship winner, and that was Cameron Elder, and I don't think we mentioned her name, but we're very excited for her, and that's a big deal for her and her family. So we want to make sure when we see her to give her a pat on the back and some congratulations. We also received the secondary report in our packets. And is there anything else you'd like to?
We've also had Sukla signed with the New Mexico State College for rodeo. Or Bride, I'm sorry.
Oklahoma State College.
All right, Oklahoma, I'm sorry. I read the thing very quickly this afternoon. I think we also have a golf person that's coming up that's going to be signing.
He signed yesterday.
He signed yesterday.
Yeah, with Fort Lewis, and it's Chris Radowski.
Yeah. So, does anybody have any others? Kids that have any really super scholarships?
Any other celebrations we're missing on that out there?
You have 4 groups coming for Lewis for a STEM outreach day, but that's secondary.
It's secondary.
We've got a couple groups coming from elementary, 6th grade groups.
For a NSF grant funded STEM outreach day that's on nanotechnology. And so I I've been facilitating that for the area, and Dolores has more participants than anyone else, so good for you.
I'm going to move on to board reports and requests. BOCES, do you have an update?
We had a BOCES board meeting last night. Last night was the BOCES board meeting here in Dolores, and it was pretty, not a lot happened, but the 4th and 5th of June is Growing Together Summit. The Monday is for teachers, the Tuesday is for families, and this is the 6th one of those. It's sort of like a little conference, and it's pretty informative and fun. And I think that's about it. There wasn't a whole lot. We did some budget stuff, and everything's on track. And so that's it.
While you're up there, legislative network reports between the two of you, is there anything you knew that we should be hearing about?
Well, I know that the Child Care Development Block Grant was, CCDF was approved at a higher rate, which is good news for our youngest children. And I'm not really sure. There's a lot of things teetering that haven't gone for a vote yet. Do you have anything?
Sure. Couple of quick legislative updates. So there's rural sustainability funds that we received last year in May at the very end of the session, and it looks like we're going to receive those again, but nothing's guaranteed until they close the session. Also, the School Finance Act is up for revision, and the superintendent's been working on this for the past 3 years, so it completely revamps how school funding flows from the state down to the districts. It hasn't been revamped since 1994, so it's time for a change there. And so there's a chance that that may go through. If that goes through, that fully funds kindergarten for the first time ever, which would be really nice. And the other thing is there's another fully funding kindergarten bill out there that Jim Wilson brings forward every year, and he's bringing it forward again for like the 6th or 7th year in a row. So there's another chance to fully fund kindergarten. And there's several other small pieces of funding that could come our way because we're small rural, so we qualify for all those small rural pieces, which is really nice. So we won't know for sure until our next board meeting, but things look very positive.
A town report, there's some reporting to do.
Okay. The playground committee is meeting very regularly. Last night they discussed, someone came with a big long list of possible grant applications where we could get some money for the playground. The county is issuing a fire ban effective April 16th. So that's all I got. I went to the town board meeting the other night. Oh, please go to the board request, because I have some.
Yes.
All right.
Go for it.
All right. I would like to ask Dr. Cooper to follow up on the following things. Make sure that administration is answering effectively parents' emails and concerns, and so we don't get this that they just got a big reply back. They need to get a positive reply. I got an email this afternoon, the 7th graders that took the test today over at the community center. A letter went out that they would be out at 12:30. They were out between 9th graders, I'm sorry, that they would be out at 12:30. They were out between 11 and 11:30. A parent showed up here at school. Nobody knew where these children were.
Deanna, hold on
These
a
are
second.
freshmen.
I was there.
Okay.
And then we run out at 12:30.
Well, when she came to the school, nobody knew where this child was. So that's something that needs to be followed and addressed. We don't want freshman kids wandering around for an hour, and they were supposed to come back to school this afternoon for their 1:30 classes or 2 o'clock classes, and I know of at least two, because I talked to parents, that they were with their parents.
Well, they were released, my kids in the, but they were released at the time after the testing was done, but they did come back to the school, and that was part of it. But they were released and at the time, I think it was 1 o'clock, but I don't know the exact time. They came back at lunch.
We got them back here in time because some of the students need to lunch.
The thing was they were able to eat their lunch and they were released after lunch. And that's how I think.
Well, I had just gotten an email just before I came here from parents, so that was a concern.
Anybody else? Thank you.
The investigation on the medical facility, where does that stand?
So we've been told that we are going to get a report on that from Sheriff Nolan, and that's going to be discussed in the next meeting in May, and that's what he had asked. And so originally there was going to be a discussion tonight, but he asked if it could be made in May. So, and that we have not received any information as board members specifically besides the concept that there is an investigation. There's been no details to that given to us at all, unless you guys had anything else separate.
Yeah, so, sure. I got a quick update. So,
I've been in contact with Will First, the district attorney, and he said there's absolutely no investigation going on that topic. But the sheriff said he's going to bring something to us, or to the board, at the next board meeting. So I imagine the next board meeting should be a healthy conversation around the school-based health clinic. We also will be asking for a recommendation to move forward with the contractors at that meeting. So that'll be a big discussion in the May 10th board meeting.
So you're saying the sheriff's lying, there is one?
I'm not saying he's lying, but I'm just saying there's no legal investigation happening. There may be some inquiry going on, but that's just what's going on. So at the next board meeting, we'll have a healthy discussion on this. Thanks.
Is that true, Sheriff?
there's an investigation, like I said. The district attorney does not have anything to do with it. So.
He said he asked the district attorney.
Yeah, and then he said that there is no investigation. He said that twice.
There is.
She said it twice. It's on camera.
And it will be concluded before the end of the month.
Okay, and that's,
thank you.
And it's not concluded yet. We're told we're going to hear more about it by the end of the month prior to the meeting, some details about it, and whether or not the district attorney is involved in it. It's.
And then during one school board meetings, Casey McClellan asked about terminating the contract, and it was tabled. About 2 meetings in, and we're still not talking about it. Is that something you're going to discuss at the next meeting, or that's something that access tonight?
It wasn't tabled.
It was. Yes.
It died.
I did not say it was tabled.
Yes, ma'am, it's on video.
I said it is tabled.
Yes.
I don't know what that. No, that there's discussions of other things that we said we were going to bring forward in another meeting, but no, he did make a motion. The motion was not seconded, and it died. Thank you.
Please.
No comment on that. Is there any other, he said no comment. So can we I would like to finish up with board. What was that? No, we're not avoiding that conversation. Okay.
That's why we're here.
It would be nice to address the positive things that this gentleman has done for our district.
We tonight had an executive session with the board and superintendent, and that is something that I can't openly discuss in public. Thank you.
So can you discuss when we're going to get the results of that? I mean, we've waited a few meetings to see, I guess, the outcome of this, and we're still waiting. So we get a day that we're set to see the results of your executive discussion. Because
Can't take anything out of it.
We can't take,
Executive session, no decisions are made, just discussion. And it's a private conversation. I think will come out of the executive sessions.
So we can have a date where we expect to see results that certain personal care might be waiting to see or have been waiting to see?
That's correct.
Is there any other?
Would ask for consideration of this. Forms went out for registration this last week. In that group of forms, there are 2 for you to sign for consent for your child to be seen at the health clinic. I, for one, want an opt-out form of that. I don't want my child to be forced to be, encouraged even to go to the health clinic. My child was a pediatrician, so I don't want for it to be enough just to not sign those forms. I would ask that you consider a specific form opting out of that.
Exactly, and when I saw it, I wasn't even clear what the form was, but then I understood it.
That's going out to parents.
Yes, well, I got it, the form, but I did not fill that form out myself because at this point, we do not have a health clinic.
Well, and I know I asked the principal about that. She wasn't sure about it herself and didn't fill it out herself. So it's like important before you send forms out to parents.
Yes.
To know what's on there.
Absolutely.
And include, so I'm asking that
yes.
Fill out a specific opt-out form.
And I've already brought that up also as a parent.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board requests for future agenda items? Okay. I would like to adjourn this meeting at 9:06. And thank you so much for everyone who came. Have a great evening. Drive safe.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.